Hello everyone, bonjour tout le monde. Welcome to EFA178 on this Wednesday, September 16th. Today, we're going to talk about 0 residual grams per liter of residual sugars in wines, right? So think about that. Wines, we're going to talk about wine lovers out there, and we're going to talk about 0 grams per liter of residual sugars in wine. And people say, is that even possible? Yes, it is, right? But why is that important? Why is that important to me? And those that have been following me know that I have lived a very healthy lifestyle, as much as possible. Real food, real consumption, real everything, right? Whatever goes in my body as much as possible. I do not want any processed or any sugars whatsoever. I stay out of an insulin type body. I've lost 110 pounds. If you want to do something right in life, you follow someone that's done it right. Right? And the sugar content, how did I get educated on that? Right? I got educated on that from a good friend of mine from the high school days, and I was at her restaurant. This is about 2 years ago. And she had mentioned that certain wines, and the wines that she loved, had the least amount of sugars in it because it wouldn't give her hangover, headaches the next day. I took that and I ran with that in the sense of, in my fitness, intrinsic mindset. Remember, I started this lifestyle June 3rd, 2019. Before going into this lifestyle, intrinsically, I knew what I was doing, and I've talked about this, where I did all my blood work and et cetera for months in advance and throughout, and just to prove a point how all the medical conditions disappear and dissipate. Throughout that entire process, I drank wine, and I still do, and I drink lots of it. and I enjoy my wine. I enjoy my wines with my dinners, and I only eat once a day, on average, twice a day on weekends. And even those that enjoy 1, 2, 3 meals a day, right? I tell 3 meals, and I still love their fitness life, their wellness life, their health life, but still enjoy to consume their wines and so forth. I educate them. And I was really, really surprised, and I was actually amazed at how many wine connoisseurs, people that drink wine from birth, people that are part of wine clubs and that have no clue about the grams per liter of residual sugars. And that really resounded with me. So this is why I do this video, and this is why I talk about it. And because I have so many people that are into fitness and health and wellness and want longevity throughout their life. And I explain to them, there's cultures on this earth that do drink wine and they live forever, right? Not forever, but they live 100 years. So when I go into that, it's why. What kind of wines are they drinking, right? And how they're preparing their wines and so forth. And we have a great Canadian company here in Canada. It's called Tawse. And today, I'm going to the pleasure with you to go through a box opening that I just received, my wine. And it's a Tawse 2017 Cabernet Franc. Right, and this is from the Niagara Peninsula in the parts of Ontario, very southern parts of Ontario, the Niagara Peninsula, so in Canada here. But it's a delicious wine, and why do I buy their wines? Because for the most part, most of their wines are all 0 residual, like the 0 grams per liter of residual sugars in their wine, most of their wines. And their wines are done organically. So as a person like myself that believes in health and wellness, that believes in fitness, that believes in longevity, and that's what I'm striving for the rest of my life. This is a lifetime lifestyle, right? And for a person like myself, that's what I choose. I choose these wines, and why. So on EFA178 today, what are residual sugars, right? And when you look at sugars, what comes to mind? Carbs. And I'm going to explain to you something really, and I know you are paying attention out there, and I said this before, 52% of my listeners are women. Ladies, you love your wine as much as I do, and I know you do, right? Enjoy the wines without the carbs and the sugar. Trust me on that, all right? So residuals of sugar and carb. There's a yeast process in wine, and that yeast process, basically, when the yeast is going through its process, and I'm not a winemaker by any means, but from research, and I'm going to explain to you something here. Throughout the wine process, the yeast eats away at the sugar. Right? And it depends on how fast they make the wine and how they make the wine and how long they allow the yeast to eat the sugar. And the more the yeast eats the sugar in this process, the higher the alcohol content goes, right? And lowers the sugar content in the wine, right down to 0 residual sugars per gram per liter, right? Right up to 220 grams. 220 grams of residual sugars per gram per liter in wine. Could you imagine that? So from 0 to 220. Let me get into those details here, right? So that yeast process, that's what happens. So by allowing it to fully go through its yeast process and drop in the sugars, that's how you get your 0 grams per liter of residual sugars. So it's basically the grapes are working through the wine process, and all the sugars they leave behind, let the yeast do its job, and it gets rid of all the sugars inside the wine. And you get all the other benefits of the wines, right? When you look at there's a lot of benefits to wine. and I've talked about this on another podcast, and I don't want to get into that right now, but there's some healthy benefits to wine, right? And the alcohol is the alcohol. Let's be honest with ourselves, right? The alcohol is the alcohol, but there's a lot of great benefits to wine. And by removing the sugars, I just heighten my benefits to wine, right? So, and the other thing too, you get the higher alcohol content, like I mentioned. It lowers the sugar down to 0, but it also lowers the carbs. And this is where it's important. This is why I think I know from research, and people tell me, like, you still drink wine and the abs are coming out and so forth. I know, right? So that's why I know. So, because again, RS, that's what it stands for, grams per liter, from 0 to 220, right? That's what the average is out there, and I'll give you those stats in a second. That's like multiples of pop, soft drinks, and fruit juices. Think about that. Some of the wines that you're drinking are in multiples. Think of your worst pop out there and your worst fruit juice box out there, your soft drinks. Think of your worst out there. And some of your wines, it's multiples sugars and carbs of that soft drink that you detest, right? Think about that for a second. Let that resound in you, okay? So Wine Foley, they had an article May 14th yet? No, May 22nd, 2015. May 22nd, 2015, Wine Foley had an article. They updated it recently in July 28, 2020. It's a great article. And in that article here, I'm going to pull this out here. There's an article, and in the article, they actually have the wine in carbs chart. You may or may not be able to see this, but this wine in carb chart breaks it down when you go from all the way up to 0 grams of per liter residual sugars, all the way down to your 220. You go from 0.15. Okay, so if you have 1 gram of sugar per liter, when you start at 1, I start at 0 all the time. But if you start at 1 gram of residual sugar per liter, you would start at 0.15 grams of carb. When you start going up the scale, by the time you reach your top wines out there, your sweet wines, your certain wines out there, and they break it down, like different types of wine, it goes all the way up to 33 grams of carb, right? How do they break it down? Total carbs per serving. So those that follow the carbs per serving, and the serving is 5 ounce, right? So 5 ounce, approximately 150 milliliters here they say, and you get 33 grams of carbs per serving, total carbs per serving. So, need I say more? Need I say more? So I know if those that are listening to understand, and this is why I drink this wine. So today I'm at the office here. So I was like starting this, and I didn't even have a corkscrew, right? I go, but I found one. I found one in the cigar box. So one of the boys left the corkscrew in there, which is nice. So may I actually show this? This is how beautiful they send you. I just remove the top packaging of this, and in there there's a beautiful display of wine. Not sure if you can see it, but a beautiful display of wine, and it's all nicely packed. And here you go. This is a Tawse bottle, right? This is your bottle right here. And so I'm gonna open this up, and I'm gonna taste it. I'm gonna try it in front of you. And this wine, and people ask me, how does it taste? It tastes delicious. It literally does. And I'm asked, like you know, when you drink, those that love wines, the dry wine, in the back of the throat, right in the back of the palate, that's the kind of wine you're drinking here. It's a wine that's got a really crisp taste to the back of the throat. Truly enjoy it. I've never been disappointed once. I haven't been disappointed once. And now let me also talk about Vivino. That's Vivino, right? If those that don't know, it's Vivino. It's a great app. If you look at that app, this is how I take my wines. I buy it on ratings. I look at my wines through ratings. Sorry about that. I do my wines through rating, and I don't necessarily do on price. But if you want to go with higher end wines, tend to allow the process to go through with the yeast and so forth, and you tend to have drier wines, less sugars in them and so forth. Or you go to a company like Tawse, T-A-W-S-E, Tawse Wine, and they make their sugars, all their wines pretty much 0 grams per liter residual sugars. So, délicieux, comme on dit en français. C'est très, très délicieux, la senteur. So, very nice wine so far. So this is what it is, old school. I pulled out the old school glass. I didn't have any wine glasses. I didn't want to bring any of those coolers and mug. But let me just, I'm glad I broke my fast already. I haven't had lots. I got to work today, but now all I'm missing is somebody to sit by my side and enjoy a great conversation, right? With conversations come solutions. How can you not enjoy conversation with solutions with wine? Because this wine here, that dryness in the back of the mouth, the crisp taste to it, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And if you were to buy your wine, look, I actually I'm gonna have a glass. I know I will, just one, because I while I'm working. But a delicious wine, an absolutely delicious wine. Truly recommend this company. I have no parts in it. I don't even. I'm a monthly club member now, and I am because of what I know. And because of what I know, and it's our duty to teach. So right, I'm teaching you. This is why I drink this wine. I truly believe that it's helped me a lot when I look at carbs and sugars and how they make their wine organically and their process they go through. This is why I choose Tawse. This is why I'm doing this podcast today, because those that truly love life but want to do it longevity-wise and through health and wellness and fitness and so forth, and are looking for a great alternative to drinking and enjoying their social conversation with, or even just, I'll sit by myself and enjoy a great meal over a glass of wine, right? And it's the fruits of life, the absolute fruits of life. Jean-Guy Bourguignon, EFA178.